The studio of The View buzzed with its usual mid-morning electricity, cameras gliding into place, audience members murmuring with anticipation, producers whispering countdowns through headsets. The bright set glowed under the lights, all polished glass and pastel panels, designed to feel warm and inviting. Jennifer Lopez sat poised at the curved table, legs crossed elegantly, hands folded in her lap, a practiced smile resting on her face. She had walked onto the stage moments earlier to thunderous applause, the kind reserved for someone who had spent decades commanding attention. J. Lo, global icon, actress, singer, mogul, looked as unshakable as ever. At first, everything flowed exactly as planned. Whoopi Goldberg opened with light banter about Jennifer's latest film project, praising her work ethic and calling her one of the hardest working people in the business. Sunny Hostin chimed in, asking about balancing career and family, while Sarah Haynes joked about trying, and failing, to keep up with Lopez's fitness routine. Jennifer laughed easily, tossing her hair back, offering warm, thoughtful answers that had the audience nodding and clapping along. She was relaxed, confident, in control. Then Joy Behar leaned forward. Joy's expression shifted slightly, still smiling, but sharper now, more inquisitive. "Jennifer," she began, tapping her cue card against the table, "you've talked a lot over the years about reinvention. But some critics say it's not reinvention as much as repetition. Same image, same themes, just repackaged. How do you respond to that?" The air in the room changed, subtly but unmistakably. A few audience members exchanged glances. Jennifer's smile tightened for a split second before she responded, her voice calm but firm. "I've heard that criticism before," she said. "And I think it comes from people who don't really understand what consistency and evolution look like over time. I'm proud of my body of work." Joy raised an eyebrow. "But isn't there a point where consistency becomes playing it safe?" she pressed. "Some would argue you've benefited from an industry that rewards image over substance." There it was, the word substance. Jennifer's posture shifted slightly, her shoulders straightening, chin lifting. "I don't agree with that at all," she replied. "I've worked incredibly hard for everything I have. Nothing was handed to me." Whoopi interjected gently, sensing the tension. "Joy, I think." But Joy continued, her tone more pointed now. "I'm not saying you didn't work hard. I'm saying the industry has certain privileges, and you've been very good at navigating them. That's not the same as breaking barriers." A low murmur rippled through the audience. Jennifer's eyes flashed, not with anger yet, but with something closer to disbelief. "With respect," she said, "I did break barriers. I was one of the first Latina women to be paid what I was paid in Hollywood. I opened doors for others who look like me." Joy leaned back, crossing her arms. "Or you benefited because you were marketable to a mainstream audience that felt comfortable with you." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Jennifer paused. The cameras zoomed in, catching every flicker of emotion on her face. "That's a really unfair way to frame my career," she said slowly. "And honestly, it feels dismissive." Sunny Hostin nodded in agreement. "Joy, I think we have to acknowledge." But Joy shook her head. "I'm just asking questions. We are allowed to question powerful people." Jennifer exhaled, a controlled breath, but the warmth she'd brought onto the stage earlier was fading. "Asking questions is one thing," she said. "Undermining someone's life work is another." The room was now completely silent except for the soft hum of studio equipment. Even the producers seemed frozen, unsure whether to cut to commercial. Joy's lips pursed, her tone turning knowing, almost smug. Powerful people should be able to handle critique. Jennifer let out a short laugh, not amused, not angry, just tired. "I can handle critique," she said. "What I won't do is sit here and let my contributions be minimized on my own community's behalf." Whoopi tried again to ease the moment. "Okay, let's take a breath." But Joy wasn't done. "No one's minimizing. I'm just saying maybe the narrative you tell about yourself isn't the whole story." That was the breaking point. Jennifer placed her hands flat on the table, her bracelets clinking softly but loudly enough to echo in silence. She looked directly at Joy, her voice steady but edged with steel. "You don't get to tell my story for me." A collective gasp rose from the audience. Joy shrugged. "That's your opinion." Jennifer stood. The movement was sudden enough to startle everyone at the table. Chairs scraped faintly as Sarah and Sunny turned toward her, eyes wide. Whoopi looked up at Jennifer, concern etched across her face. "Jennifer." "I came here for a conversation," Jennifer said, her voice carrying across the studio, not to be talked down to. Joy opened her mouth to respond, but Jennifer held up a hand, not aggressively, but decisively. "No," she said. "I've done this long enough to know when a line's been crossed." The cameras scrambled to adjust as Jennifer reached for the back of a chair. The audience was completely silent now, every person aware they were witnessing something that hadn't been planned, rehearsed, or approved. "I respect this show," Jennifer continued, her gaze sweeping briefly across the table before returning to Joy. "But I respect myself more." And with that, she stepped away from the table, heels clicking against the studio floor as stunt producers leapt into motion, some signaling frantically for a commercial break, others frozen in disbelief. Behind her, Joy Behar sat back in her chair, expression unreadable, while Whoopi stared after Jennifer, shaking her head slowly. As Jennifer disappeared offstage, the applause that followed was hesitant at first, then louder, more confident, echoing with shock, admiration, and the unmistakable feeling that something had just gone very, very wrong. Backstage, the air felt heavier than the bright, polished calm of the studio. Jennifer Lopez walked briskly down the narrow hallway, the echo of her heels sharp against the concrete floor, her jaw set tight. A production assistant hurried after her, whispering her name, asking if she wanted to sit, to talk, to reconsider. Jennifer didn't stop. Her pulse was still racing, adrenaline buzzing through her chest, but her expression was controlled, icy calm layered over years of media training and self-discipline. Inside her dressing room, she finally paused. The door closed softly behind her, muffling the distant sounds of chaos from the set. She exhaled deeply, placing her hands on the counter, staring at her reflection in the mirror framed by glowing bulbs. For a moment, she said nothing. Her reflection stared back, strong, composed, but unmistakably hurt. "That crossed a line," she murmured, more to herself than anyone else. Her publicist entered quietly, eyes wide with concern. "Jen, the control room is freaking out," she said gently. "They didn't expect this to escalate." Jennifer let out a short, humorless laugh. "Neither did I," she replied. "But I'm not going to sit there and let someone rewrite my life like it's a debate topic." Back on set, the view was in damage control mode. The cameras had cut to commercial, but the tension lingered like smoke after a fire. Whoopi Goldberg leaned back in her chair, rubbing her temple. Sunny Hostin looked visibly shaken, her lips pressed together as she glanced toward Joy Behar. Sarah Haynes shifted uncomfortably, unsure where to rest her gaze. Joy sat still, arms folded, eyes forward. "Well," she finally said, breaking the silence, "that was dramatic." Whoopi turned toward her sharply. "Joy, come on," she said, her voice low but firm. "You pushed too hard." Joy shrugged, though her confidence seemed thinner now. "I asked questions. That's what we do." Sunny shook her head. "There's a difference between questioning and dismissing someone's lived experience," she said, "especially when it comes to representation." The director's voice crackled through their earpieces, urging them to reset, to prepare for when they came back live. When the cameras rolled again, Whoopi addressed the audience with practiced composure, though the strain was evident. "Well," she said,